and welcome to Getting to Good Enough, a podcast to help you let go of perfectionism so you can do more of what you love. I'm Shannon Wilkinson, a life coach in Portland, Oregon, and I'm a recovering perfectionist who's getting better at good enough.
And I'm Janine Adams, a certified professional organizer in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm lucky enough to be naturally good at good enough.
And today we are talking about personal capacity.
Hey Shannon, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too.
Excellent. Are you ready to talk about personal capacity?
I think so. I hope so. I have to admit that when we selected the topic, I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. And maybe some of our listeners are looking forward to finding out what that means, along with me. Just kidding.
Right. This could be educational for us as well as our listeners.
That's right.
Well, I think probably one of the easiest ways to describe what we're talking about is to liken it to the memory on your computer hard drive or your phone, actually, and what it's like when you bump up against that capacity, the hard drive capacity or memory capacity, and how things slow down, they don't work right. I don't know. I've bumped up against that a number of times with my iPhone. I think you probably have too.
Yeah, it's really more my computer where I think I run into it.
Yeah.
Because I like to hang on to my
You probably don't
computer.
have 20,000 pictures on your phone.
There are many, many pictures of a certain white poodle on my phone, but it's astounding how many there are. But I also buy the largest capacity phone whenever I buy a new phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But with my computer, man, it's like I'll be plugging along. I always buy a MacBook Pro, and then I'll get to that point where I'm approaching the hard drive's capacity, and everything just slows down, and then it becomes a whole thing where I have to try to offload stuff and get it so it's like going enough again where I can actually consider buying a new computer down the road.
Yeah.
But with our personal capacity, we can't buy a new brain. So
Not yet, anyway.
That's right.
Right. So we have to figure out how to manage it. Mm-hmm. And we have to get better at it. And I think that this example is really useful in that, because I think most people think that they should be able to run at 100%.
Right. That if they're not running at 100%, they're not doing enough.
Right. And as any of us who have bumped up against this with any of our electronics know, you can't run at 100%. And even if you get up very close, I remember I was complaining about my last phone, and I kept bumping up against capacity issues, and it was what is it, like a 64 gigabyte phone. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I have like 4 gigabytes available. And I think you were the person who said, that's not that many.
Right. You're not supposed to fill it. Right.
Right. And it was like, that was such a shock to me. Like, 4 gigabytes is a lot. But I guess, in context, it's not really. And so, when we think about what our brains are capable of and where we should be running to be sort of at an optimal level, shall we say, it's much less than we think.
Right. And it just occurred to me is as we age, the percentage of our capacity we should be using perhaps needs to be lowered, or our expectations for what we can do perhaps needs to be lowered. We're going to cut ourselves some slack. Like I think I was more effortless when I was in my 20s to be operating on all cylinders than it would be now.
Right.
I don't even try now. Right. I shouldn't, nor should I, right?
Right. That's exactly right. That's not slacking or, some sort of failure. That's taking care of yourself, and it's actually being reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
It's unreasonable to think that you can run at 100%.
Right. And that's where we get into trouble, when we think that it's reasonable to do everything we can possibly do.
Right.
At the same time.
Yeah. And not just do multiple things, but do things perfectly.
Mm.
And so, there's a lot of different ways to think about this, like the number of things you're doing, how you're doing those things, what you're thinking about, what resources you have available to you. And a lot of stuff takes up energy that, which impacts our capacity that we don't even really think about.
I mean, like mental energy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, just thinking about, sort of perseverating on an idea, thinking about something over and over again takes up a certain amount of energy. It takes up a portion of your brain, and it also, thinking burns calories. I mean, I don't mean that as like a weight loss thing.
Right. Yeah.
But, it uses up energy that's of the total energy that's available to you. And so if you spend a lot of time worrying about something, you're using energy that you could be using to actually do something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I just have to take a moment to give you kudos for using the word perseverating. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if our brains are busy perseverating or overthinking everything or worrying, it's hard to get anything done. Whereas if you can let it be easy and not overthink and just do, which is easier to do if you're not trying to do too much, then life is easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a pretty simple example is something like making your bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you just are a person who likes to make your bed and you just make your bed and you don't think about it, it doesn't take any energy. I mean, it just takes very little. It doesn't take up much of your personal capacity. But if you're a person who would like to be making your bed, but you aren't, and you spend a lot of time feeling bad about that, or trying to get yourself to do it, but you're not doing, whatever, then you're taking up some of your capacity by not doing the thing that you want to be doing.
Right. That's just not happy making at all. I mean,
no.
Using up your capacity, not doing what you want to be doing. No, don't. That's no way to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. But, the reverse can be true, too. Like, if you make your bed because you think you should do it, but you really don't care about it, and so then you're resentful about it, it's the same thing. Like, so don't make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
And be willing to let it go.
That's where I fall into it.
Yeah.
I don't make my bed. Yep. Because there's always somebody in it when I get out of it.
That makes it hard.
I can't make the bed around him, so it just doesn't get made. Yeah, and I was thinking while you were talking, I don't personally have the bed making problem since I've let go of caring about that a long time ago. But I was thinking about, for me, my QuickBooks data entry. I want to be the person who enters the damn QuickBooks every week. But that's not happening. And although I don't really feel resentful about it, I do feel a little stressed about it. And I think it would be good of me to make a shift to finding a way to make it easier for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those things where, it could be as simple as sort of reframing it by understanding why it matters to you, why you want to be the person that does your QuickBooks every week. Mm-hmm. And then reminding yourself of that when it's time to do it. making sure that you have it, stuff that's more practical, like making sure that you have a dedicated time to do that and that you make it easy on yourself. Like everything you need to enter is in one spot. Because if you think about it and it's like, oh God, I have to like gather everything together and I don't know where stuff is and I'm going to forget. So, if you are using a lot of energy worrying about how successful you will be able to complete it, that's also a problem. So, figuring out how to make it easy to do and why it's important to you will reduce the capacity that it takes up and make it easier for you to do it.
Yes, and I feel like it also helps ease me past that barrier to getting started, which is usually the hardest part.
Right.
Getting started. But just all those things that you suggested, like making it easy on yourself to actually do it, helps with that. And plus the mindset shift is really helpful too. So thank you. I think I'll have to try to report back next week. But I feel as though this is going to allow me to. I have to do some catching up before I can do it weekly. Although I could put in last week's entries now.
Well, but here's the thing.
I don't have to wait till the backlog's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to wait till the backlog's gone. And
Right.
you could also just commit to doing 15 minutes a week and see where that gets you.
It would get me 15 minutes a week farther than it is now.
Right.
That much I know, right. No, I think, yeah.
But if it feels like too much to commit to getting it all done, just commit to 15 minutes. I mean, we sort of did a little bit of that with this episode. Before we started, we gave ourselves permission to let it be a short episode if we didn't feel like we had enough to say.
That's right. And then that allowed us to we'll end up talking a long time.
I know, which happens every time we do that.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, giving us permission for it to be short allows us to get started.
Yes,
indeed. Yeah. So I think that's all really good advice that probably can apply to a lot of different situations.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a key there, that the way that works, that giving yourself permission or creating sort of setting yourself up for success by removing some of those barriers and making it small enough that you could do it, all the things that you do to let it be easy, that reduces the capacity, which makes it easier to do, which means that you can either easily accomplish what you set out to do or even do more.
So letting it be easy allows you to let it be easier.
I think that we need to make that a bumper sticker.
But that's great. That's excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a non-vicious cycle.
Right. What would the opposite of that be?
I know. I couldn't come up with it, could I? Happy cycle.
It is a happy cycle. To me it feels like restful. Like somehow it's relaxing to think about getting stuff done with ease.
That word.
Like instead of feeling like work, it feels like, oh, I can get this stuff done and it won't feel like work.
Right. That sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
Okay. Thanks for listening, folks. It's almost 15 minutes.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that factor into personal capacity. Like we're talking about this sort of the mental energy that goes into something. But there's also elements of time and sort of having a more accurate assessment of your available time and how long things take, I think is also key to sort of understanding your personal capacity and working within it.
So many people have a hard time predicting how long something's going to take. I find that with my clients. Many clients will think decluttering and organizing is going to take no time at all. And then, of course, we know it's going to take a while sometimes other clients think it's going to take absolutely forever, so they can't do it. They can't get started, when in fact it's a pretty quick job. And of course, that applies to all different things in life. I was thinking about expectations and how managing one's own expectations can be a key to happiness, right? If you don't expect too much, then you're not disappointed, and that can play into this. If you think you can get this huge list of things done before you leave for work or before you go to bed, and you don't, that's not working within your personal capacity or below your capacity, and it's not going to make you happy. So being realistic about those things and those estimates of time is really, really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, setting yourself up instead of, like you said, having some big long list that you'll never accomplish, have 2 or 3 things and be able to check those off your list. Mm-hmm. It feels so different. Even if you, even if you had the big long list and you finish the same 3 things, it's going to feel very different completing 3 things off a list of 10 things versus completing 3 things off a list of 3 things.
Right. Absolutely. And I feel as though we may have spoken about that recently.
I believe that we have.
And less recently. We talk about this a lot, but it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And couching it in terms of not overtaxing your capacity, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and, for people who deal with perfectionism, that just the notion of feeling like you should be at least 100% can be really problematic.
Give it all you got. Give it 110%.
Yeah.
Right. That's not helpful.
No.
Yeah.
Those people need to stop. There is only 100%, and 100% isn't reasonable.
Right. Maybe we need to put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah. There's only 100%, and 100% isn't reasonable.
Right.
Honk if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it's like really accepting the idea that what's reasonable is, say 80%. And giving yourself that buffer in terms of time and energy and resources, that it makes a huge difference and can make it easier to do things. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, it seems like things either, like, I think something's going to take 5 minutes or it's going to take like 5 million hours. Oh my God.
That's quite a range.
It seems like something is going to be like super easy, take no time, but it actually takes way more time than I think. Or it feels like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. I'll never be able to finish it, but it's actually done in 5 minutes. Right. It seems like there's like an inverse relationship somehow. Mm-hmm. So like getting better at estimating how long something's going to take is really helpful in dealing with capacity.
Interesting. And do you think, are there techniques for doing that, for getting better at estimating those things?
Well, I think so. I think it depends on sort of which end of the spectrum you're landing on. Mm-hmm. And, so if you're landing on the assuming that something's going to take no time at all, and it really takes a fair amount of time, or whatever, even if it's just significantly more than you think, like building in an estimate. And I think we talked about this when I talked about how I overcame my chronic lateness.
Oh, right.
And that, if I think something is going to take a half an hour, that I add, 15 minutes. I give myself a 15-minute buffer. Mm-hmm. And, I may only add a 15-minute buffer if I think something's going to take an hour. But to add that buffer in to create the space for something to take a little bit longer without it throwing everything out of whack. Mm-hmm. And then on the other end of things, like if it feels like something's going to take forever, which makes it hard to get started, doing, like we said with your QuickBooks, just commit to doing it for 15 minutes. Commit to doing it for whatever length of time, however small that amount of time needs to be to not trigger you into overwhelm.
Right.
Like whatever amount of time feels doable.
Let go of the idea that you have to do it all at once and just get started or break it down into little tiny increments. Yeah.
Right.
Those both sound like great techniques. And then maybe paying attention so that you see when you're mistaken about how long something's going to take on either side of the spectrum. To adjust yourself.
I'm thinking of, like, I've had this come up with a lot with clients where they, won't want to make a call to somebody because they think it's going to take forever and it's going to be really hard. And, whether it's like, calling an accountant or calling the insurance agent or it always seems to be professionals like that, to call a lawyer or whatever, whatever you have to do. And then it seems like it's this big, huge thing that's going to take forever. And really you make the call and it's like, 5 minutes or 15 minutes or, whatever. Even it could be calling a credit card company or whatever. Those types of things are the things that always seem like they're going to take a huge amount of time and end up not taking much time at all.
Mm-hmm. I'll sometimes make those calls for clients, less personal things. But if it's, if they've like, oh, I'll do that after you leave. It's like, well, let's just do it now so it actually gets done. And do you want me to do it? Oh, sure. Would you? Sure. I don't have any emotion in it, right? So it's easy for me to. I hate making calls on my own behalf, but I have no trouble doing it for clients. Yeah. It's funny how those things work. And sometimes I'll just make a list of those calls for myself and just try to hammer them out one after the other in a something I call a power hour. Just get it done, and it's usually less painful that way.
Right. But I think, like you said, paying attention to how long things really take, and either making an actual note of that or, a mental note of it so you can remember for the next time is super useful. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of some ways that you can sort of, if you're feeling like you don't have the capacity that you want, how you can sort of expand it a little bit.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about a couple of the things, and one of them is to reduce or even eliminate all the extra thinking that you do about stuff. And that makes an instant change to your capacity.
So shut down that program. That's over taxing the RAM.
Do a force quit.
That's right.
Force quit it. Yeah. What is that? Control Alt Delete. I don't. You know what? I haven't used.
That's just rebooting the whole computer. That's not.
Oh, yeah, not that.
Yeah.
That's not it. I can't remember what it is.
I can't either.
But anyway, yeah. So, but to force quit that program of overthinking things and feeling resentful or having to go through a lot of playing something through in your head over and over again before you actually do it. Skipping ahead to the Nike part, to the just do it part, can expand your capacity. Another thing that just occurred to me is that a lot of times we leave open loops, like things are left unfinished. I had a really bad habit of just sort of, because I work from home, not really finishing up my work day and, leaving my computer open and leaving programs open and leaving things on my desk. And that's, it's like phantom energy draws. Like, one of the things that uses the most electricity in your home is leaving your television plugged in all the time compared to when you actually use it. Even
though your TV is off, it's still using a lot of energy.
It's still drawing energy. And, all of these things still left plugged in draw energy, which is part of your capacity. So the more things that you can complete and be done with, at least for now, the more energy you can make available to yourself.
It's interesting imagery there. So shutting down your figurative workday, in your brain, closing up shop physically and mentally can help you with your capacity and also help you enjoy your evening.
Right.
Yeah. I like it.
Right. And then, yeah. And, you can think about other things that, things that you leave undone. I know, like, if I'm doing laundry, say, it's always, if I don't, like, set a timer on my watch and I don't, so that I can forget about it, because I know I'll be reminded. It's like this sort of this little program running in the back of my mind, like, oh, don't forget the laundry. Don't forget the laundry.
That's interesting. That's not what I thought you were going to say. I was thinking, when you mentioned laundry, I was thinking about how for so many of my clients, there's all this laundry all over the place. Much of it's clean, and it just doesn't get put away because, as we talked about, I think in our closet curating episode, if your drawers are too full, it's hard to put your laundry away. But if you, so I was going with that metaphor, like the laundry's not done until it's put away, and if you're leaving it undone, even if it's clean, it's adding a burden.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true too.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Setting reminders on your phone so that you don't have to worry about remembering, hugely helpful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, and I think, that's like we talked about what in the task management episode, and, we've probably talked about a bunch of times, is that getting stuff out of your head and on paper or in an electronic task management system or planner or whatever frees you up to think about other things. And you don't have to sort of reserve part of your brain to help you remember the things that you need to do. Right.
You can leave that part of your brain open and expand your capacity, or expand your available capacity. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be reflecting on these things a lot in the next week or so. Something tells me these is going to come up in my head a lot. We'll see. I may completely forget.
We'll write it down.
Well, I'll be writing the show notes, so I will write it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think the sort of the main thing to remember, especially for people who are dealing with perfectionism, is that what is reasonable is less than 100%.
Right.
So whatever that is for you, the number 80% sort of pops into my head. But, so if you're running at 80%, think of that as optimal.
Mm-hmm. That even seems high to me.
Yeah.
But it's not all that easy to measure, I don't think.
No, I think it's all very subjective.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you could do more, then you're probably at a good place.
Oh, I like that.
Well, maybe we could make that a bumper sticker.
Maybe. I'm going right over to Zazzle now.
Whee!
I already forgot what you said, though. If you think you could do more, then you're probably at a good place to stop. Was that it?
Something like that. Thank God this is recorded.
You're right.
Oh, right. Anything else to say on this, Janine?
Yeah, it seems like a very good place to stop.
Yeah. And also I would like to point out that, in fact, by giving ourselves permission to let this be a short episode, if we ended up not having much to say, we once again have exceeded 30 minutes.
Right. There you have it.
Yeah. All right. So we would love to hear from you. Where do you struggle with your capacity? How are you successful in managing it? You can leave us a message at 413-424-GTGE. You can head over to the show notes at gettingtogoodenough.com, where you will also find all of the links to our social media profiles. That's what they're called. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So please share Getting to Good Enough with a friend if you enjoy listening to us. And we would love it if you would take a minute to leave us a review at iTunes or Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps other people learn about us. So for now, I'm Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And I'm Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that good enough is getting easier for you. It really is helpful that we record stuff because I forget it like moments after it comes out of my mouth.
Sometimes I forget it before it finishes coming out of my mouth.